Howdy. I was thinking I should probably talk on here a little bit more often because I seem to be slipping into a pretty good depression. It's like yesterday, I didn't want to eat at all, and I didn't eat until like way late. And I got the same thing going on today. I've been up since 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like 12:30 in the afternoon. All I've done is sit around and write on the computer, which I enjoy because I would like to become divorced from my corporeal form and become mere thought. Because when I'm thinking, um, I get absorbed in that. It just distracts me from my physical woes, but it is a vicious circle because I'll just get spun up in my head and my body gets worse. But yeah, dealing with my body in the condition that it's in is it's just not easy because any movement I do causes me pain now. As far as like I'm talking about laying in bed, and if I would do like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, or flexing my toes and my feet would hurt. But I mean, anyways, I'm talking about like walking around and putting any weight on my leg. Um, it doesn't take anything at all for it to start hurting. So naturally, people tend to want to avoid pain, and it's not like an arthritis type of thing where you can work through it. Because I don't have arthritis, I got tested for it. It's something else. So there's really not a whole lot of incentive for me to move around. Um, uh, Also, I am kind of like withdrawn pretty badly. So like I get a call on Monday. Today's Wednesday, and they're like, "You have a cardiology appointment tomorrow." And I was like, "Whoa!" I literally said, "I totally whiffed on this one. Who am I supposed to see now?" I had no idea. Now, granted, this appointment was made 6 months ago, but I knew at some point it was coming up, and I never checked on it or anything like that. It's kind of important for me to have a cardiologist to get the medications. It's not important for me to go see doctors. It's important for me to get the medications. It's important for me to have a primary caregiver in case I get sick. I'll have somewhere to go if it's like I don't know the flu or something, or they can refer you to other doctors and stuff. I'm talking about like going in for specific conditions, like yeah, basically you need the medications. So you have to go through the motions to get the medications that you need. So, but yeah, I haven't really been I don't know having any meaningful dialogue with anybody lately, which isn't helpful. Isn't helpful like I call people, but um, I don't really have any. Well, the kind of conditions that I have, like many of y'all got like your health deals, so you can understand what it's like to be impaired or what it's like to wake up in the morning and be like, oh fuck. That's what I wake up in the morning and right away I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be a long day. Every day it's like that. So many of you know what that's like. But as far as like my specific issues or little, 'cause I got a weird disease, so it's a little different. But I mean, it's ballpark is what I'm saying. A lot of what you people have to deal with is like a ballpark type of thing, so you can understand what it's like to go through the daily struggle to keep trying when you're sick of all of it. So I suppose I should talk on here more often. Probably be therapeutic. I haven't heard from my actual supposedly therapy outreach people, Coleman, for like a long time. I don't have a therapist. I have a case manager, but I don't remember when's the last time I talked to her. The same way I didn't remember like when. I didn't even remember like ballpark when my cardiology appointment was. It totally took me by surprise. So usually you're like, oh, that should be coming up pretty soon. But I was like, what? So I don't know. I should contact them. I did make a phone call today. I mean, this person called me on the first, and I missed their call, and I didn't get it. And my phone only, I got two phones, and one of them doesn't work so well, so my phone only leaves up like recent calls for a little while, apparently. And also, it doesn't ring all the time. I don't know if it's that it doesn't ring all the time, or it's like every time it reboots, the ringer goes back to zero. I don't know, but the only way I caught um, my cardiology appointment phone call was I actually had my elbow resting on the phone, so literally. And so it lights up, and I look down, and I'm like, I don't recognize this number. And then something told me like, yeah, you need to answer this. And I was like, okay. And I answered it because most of the time when I don't recognize the number, I don't answer it. But I'm like, why isn't this fucking thing ringing? I know I had it turned up, but I think when it reboots, it goes, uh, the ringer goes off. I don't know why that would be, but also that phone had static on rings. It didn't have static during the call I tried to make. It had static on the ringtone. So yeah, that phone needs replaced. But yeah, so this person, I interrupted myself there, but this person called me on the 1st, and they called me on the 16th. So the 16th, I called him back on the 19th, so that's not too horrible. But the one on the 1st, I didn't call him back at all. And then on the 16th, I called him back, and I left him two messages on each phone yesterday. So, and I got a ringtone, which is disturbing, because you get a ringtone in the middle of the day and it goes to voicemail. You get the impression. See, I don't know if like what their deal is. Like, you get the impression like if I'm getting a ringtone, and are they looking at you envision the person on the other end and looking at the phone and saying nope. So I don't know what's going on with that or what the deal is. I called him today and left another message, and I called him twice yesterday and left two different messages with two different phones, one of which has my name attached to it, which was the point I was trying to make. And so it has caller ID Steve on it, so they know it's me. Um, but I haven't talked to them for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months. I don't know. I do not know. Because like I got all them family issues, so I don't talk to them around the holidays. I don't talk to my family around the holidays. So yeah, it was probably been over 2 months since I talked to them. I suppose I could check my call history, but it's been a long time. That's all I need to know. But I lose track of time because the days sort of fly by for me, even though I'm in a lot of physical pain, is because I got that ability to get wrapped up in thought processes, which I usually can get away with because I don't sit there and beat myself up, or like the one thing I will do is like I'll brood over my family's. Like I'm thinking I got $1,100 potential cash if only my family would spend the money off of the EBT card and let me have money that they would spend anyway. That's $1,100. That's not chicken feed. And so yeah. So sometimes I'll brood about that stuff, but most of the time I'm not like going over the past and like, even though I've had a shit life, you know, that's not the source of my depression. The source of my depression is not like going back and going over old wounds and hurts and misfortunes and mistreatments and whatnot. My source of my depression is it fucking hurts to move, so I don't want to get up and get moving. I left the window open for the cat. It's really fucking cold here. I put some food down on his plate, but I should go out and check on him to see if what's up with him and give him a pet, and maybe put down something a little different. He don't like my current soft food that I have, but he does like me to pour the broth out of it on top of the hard food. So I could do that. I'm gonna have to move at some point. And yesterday, like I said, this is all I did yesterday was a poor attempt. I'm trying to do like the sideburn thing still, but a poor attempt at clipping my head. And yeah, I went over it once. You always like miss the temples and stuff, but I went over it once. Um, mm, so I told the lady, the cardiologist receptionist, um, that I would get back to her. I haven't done that. It's Wednesday. I don't want to for whatever reason. I got enough pills, is what the reason is. You never know when these doctors will lose patience with you and lose you as a patient. As a patient, I almost pulled that off. So you never know. They got these. Sometimes they got this weird rationale for things, and they just don't want you anymore, or like they won't treat you, or you don't know what the thought process is behind it or what it's about. You know, I know I've. You think I could score some points by saying, yeah, I had a doctor for 5 years, but he's in prison now. But bringing that up doesn't help. They don't like that. They don't like it when I bring that up. Oh, my other doctor was a rapist, so you'll be an improvement. Um, yeah, I mean, that kind of left me high and dry, so to speak. That's not a good. Okay, strike that. Not a good thing to say in that sentence, but in that context. But anyways, it kind of like left me at sea because when your primary, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but when your primary caregiver or gets arrested and it comes out of the blue and like you call them up and they're like, yeah, he's on vacation. How long is he on vacation for? He didn't tell us. He's not on vacation. He's on the lam. You know. Uh, so when that happens, I mean, then you're stuck with trying to find another doctor. And then I get another doctor, and then they injure my knee, and then I have yet to find another doctor after getting my knee injured. And things really have gone to hell since September 22nd in that appointment. Um, so I don't know. I'm just talking about old shit now. That's the problem. Is like I don't have any new stuff to talk about, and it's because all I do is lay here and try to find a TV series, preferably to get absorbed in, or find a movie to watch, or write on the computer, or talk to people on the phone. I mean, that's not good. Um, I really wanted the Browns to win on Sunday more than I thought because I realized while I was watching it, even though I said I win either way and now I don't have to sell cards, I could have made a lot of money this week if they would have won. And they had every they had a great opportunity to win. They just couldn't get it done uh, for a few reasons. But we're not here to talk football. But yeah, they lost to the Super Bowl champs by 5 points, and they were within a touchdown of winning the game with 11:07 to go. So enough said. So yeah, that hurt. At one point, a guy made a diving catch for a first down, and I punched my hand like 5 times in celebration. And I was like, "That's gonna leave a mark." But yeah, I was into it, man. I was like, "Yeah, I got all these." Like, I just realized like I got like thousands of dollars I could make off of this game if they win. Because it's one thing to advance to the AFC Championship. It's another thing to dethrone the Super Bowl champs. It's kind of a big deal. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna hold all my cards and wait till the hype train builds over the summer, and then I'm gonna have to wait to sell them. And at least most of them. I mean, I could make. I'm talking about my huge Browns collection. Uh, I can these other cards I can sell. Um, but I don't know how motivated I'll be to do that, but probably be good for me. I still have my test auction up, but I think I'm gonna pull that and put something else up. But yeah, that's something I can do where I don't have to ambulate, walk on my leg, and then suffer for it later. I did not take any Neurontin yesterday, which was a bit of a test because I didn't walk on my leg much yesterday, but I had you got to walk on your leg some. Uh, so I did have some pain yesterday, and the Neurontin is what's gonna put that'll not having that is what's going to push me into finding a primary caregiver because it's like an hourglass where your time runs out because I don't want to be facing that kind of pain or making that kind of a business decision where like okay, I'm just going to lay around like all the fucking time and become a puddle of goo, become a Jabba the Hutt. and with no Princess Leia on a chain, and not move, because moving, I don't have any pain medications, and if I move, I'm going to end up taking more Valium as a substitute for the pain medication, and that won't be good, and I don't want to do that. So I don't want to put myself in that situation. Yesterday I took a third of what's on the bottle for Valium, and I took two half a pills. So um, that was pretty good discipline. So I did show a little bit of discipline yesterday. I just couldn't make myself do anything but clipper my head. Just can't make myself do stuff, you know. Can't make myself make phone calls. I did today when I called that person, because I don't never ever know how they're gonna be, and didn't get them. They didn't call me back. So you know, don't know what the story is there. Not sure I want to find out. So yeah. Um, oh yeah, I should apologize for not answering anybody that left any comments below me on the last video. I read them, I just didn't answer them, just because again, I got that whole inertia thing going on. But I'm, writing bullshit opinions about, not bullshit opinions, but just writing about nonsense, you know, in a way that's a compliment, because I take writing to y'all seriously enough that, like, I'm not in the mood for this, where I was just writing about, like, this is the kind of bullshit that I was writing about. Is I watched this guy called the Horror Geek, who I owed $6 because I told him I would donate to his channel. I'm like, crap, I got to keep my word. It's like, I'll give him $6. That's not much, but I can give him more later. But I talked to the guy before, and so he's watching he does like horror movies, and so he's watching an old horror movie, and then he just cracks jokes over top of them. Age old shtick, going back to Ghoulardi, who comes from Cleveland, Ohio, by the way. And there's somebody, like, that's in, got a murderer chasing them or something, and they're dialing with the old rotary phone, and I wrote, like, no, that worked really well in the old movies where they had to make the frantic phone call, where your hand was shaking and you had to get it in the hole on the rotary phone and make sure you went all the way around, because if you didn't go all the way around, your 9 could be read at 8, read as an 8, and 811 don't get the police to come. So, you have to, then the wires could be cut, and they could pick up the phone and they could be dead. Like nowadays, they have to replace that because everybody's got a phone in their pocket. You pull out your phone, you push a button, and boom, you're good to go. So they're equivalent of the old frantic call, and picking it up, and then you're waiting to see if they hear a dial tone or not, or if the murderer cut the wires on the house. The equivalent of that dramatic scene now is, I got no signal. Do I have a signal if I reach clear out here, or do I stand on the house and get a signal? So that's the kind of thing I was writing about. Just gives me an excuse to be creative, and telling the truth is much harder than being creative. So um, yeah, that's why I like to be serious when I'm writing people. So I might still get around to it, I might not. So anyways, my speech pattern's kind of evolving here. So I should get moving. I should, like, maybe do this every time that I feel like maybe it gets, it'll get me moving, or just be a change of routine. If I do like shorter videos more often or something, I don't know. I mean, I've been having some really fucked up, disturbing dreams lately. Like, for, I don't know, it seems like every night, where it's like, oh, that was horrible. Uh, just trust me, they're horrible dreams. It's like trying to think of them, but usually if I don't talk about a dream, or I don't think about a dream after I wake up, it's like it's gone. So I try not to think about it or talk about it. But yeah, I've been having some really real winners. One of them, I do remember one of them, I was young again. I felt good. I was healthy, and my dad was alive, and I was asked, I knew I was aware that wasn't right. It's like I went back in time and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, he's like, what do you mean? What am I doing? I'm like, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. And I don't remember the rest of the dream except for that I went back in time and I was young and I wasn't in pain and I could move around and I was, I say healthy, but I was, better off physically. And my dad was alive, my mom was alive, and that's, that's pretty much it. But it was, some dreams have more emotional impact and stick with you. Some of them, they don't, but that one stuck with me a little bit. Yeah, it's to me that's a sign that I'm not in a good frame of mind is when I start having disturbing dreams. But the lethargy thing has got to go, man. I got to figure out something because that's a surest way to depression is to not do anything. I mean, I'm already there. I'm already like in a depression, but I, you don't want to get to the point where you have to struggle to eat and stuff. Like yesterday, I'm like, well, you have to eat something at some point during the day. And I'm like, well, if I eat, my body don't work. It's not going to process the damn food anyway. It's like if I walk, my legs gonna hurt. Like I don't really have any incentive to do any damn thing. It's like the only incentive I have is to avoid feeling worse. And the things that I do though often make me feel worse anyway. But mean like feeling worse emotionally. So it's like, yeah, the carrot on the stick thing. I don't really have a carrot on the stick. I got a rutabaga. Have you ever eaten a rutabaga? I have. Yeah, they don't taste very good. Uh, it's like a potato with less ambition. I don't know how to describe a fucking rutabaga to you if you never had one, but one year my aunt played a horrible practical joke on me and she gave me some random stuff out of somebody's garden. I don't think it was hers, but there was turnips, there was rutabagas, and there was an unknown, unidentified green pepper looking thing that, how they have variations on green peppers that are like red and purple and they're all like peppers. This was a habanero pepper, so that was my first experience eating a habanero pepper. So, I don't know what it is. And I'm eating this other stuff. I'm like, well, this turnip is crap. I'm starving at the time, obviously. And this was during those poor times I was talking about, where I'd eat rice, corn, a bowl of corn for dinner, rice, and stuff like that. So, you know, you think, I guess because I never complained about it or never said anything, they would have, I could have went over there and said, hey, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time. It's like, you got any like leftovers? I never ever did that the whole 15 years when my aunt was living right across the street. I was renting off of my World War II vet uncle. Anyways, back to the story. So I'm eating like random hideous vegetables, trying to stomach them. And I'm like, turnips suck. Rutabaga, I don't even know what the fuck this is, but I'm not eating it. And I get to this habanero pepper that I don't know is a habanero pepper, and I'm like, well, this ought to be good because it looks like kind of like a little green pepper or something. I take a big old bite out of it, like a moron. I smelled it first. No, not, yeah, okay. I bit the tiny little, I'm not a complete idiot, so I bit a tiny little bit off the tip, and I'm like, it's not that hot. And I smelled it before I bit it, which was my mistake. If I would have smelled it after I, you know, broke the skin on it, I would be like, whoa, that's hot. Be careful. But instead, I just take a big old bite out of a habanero. And as I've established, I had no food in the house. So I didn't even have any bread I could eat or any milk I could drink. And water makes it worse. I already know this. So I have jars of spaghetti sauce. I don't have any spaghetti, but I have jars of spaghetti sauce. So, like, I had 2 jars of spaghetti sauce. And if I remember correctly, I drank 1.5 jars of spaghetti sauce because I ate a habanero pepper. And I don't do hot stuff very well, by the way. So I'm there drinking spaghetti sauce, tears coming down my face and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, my life's not good. But I'm not the type of person to be like, hey, you got any leftovers or not really a mooch or a bum. because I always figured like since I was a mooch or a bum, not by choice, but because I was disabled since the time I was 16 years old, that was enough. It's like you don't got to give me anything because some people would say like I wish I could help you out some way. I'm like, do you pay your taxes? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, well, then you help me out enough because I was getting the SSI checks and stuff. I never had that sense of entitlement because I was basically uh, what would you call it? I felt like a tenant, but like a tenant farmer. Well, then, guys, I want to make a medieval reference here, but I did not feel like my home was my home. Okay, that phone just lit up for no reason, the mysterious phone. But so I didn't even feel like when I was growing up, like the house was like I was really completely wanted in my own house. It's like I knew my mom loved me, but my dad seemed like he was mostly thought of me as an inconvenience. He never kicked any of his kids out, but what he did to like my older sister was like basically make their lives unbearable so they would have to move. So it was kind of like passive aggressively kicking somebody out, like almost charging them for electricity, never buying them clothes. It's like it's better if my sister would tell you because I don't remember. But my other sister I haven't talked to for like a decade. But I guess they both got the same treatment where like they had like one pair of jeans and it's like they had to scrape up money. Um, maybe that's why I shouldn't go there, but maybe that's why my one sister was like sensitive when I was like playing guys for money is sort of like being a whore. It's it's sort of like prostitution without the follow through. And then she got all defensive about that. And I'm like, why is she getting all defensive about that? So maybe that's you know how she was able to get enough money to buy pants and stuff like that was playing guys when she was younger. I don't know, but anyways, point is like he would complain at them for like using the iron to iron their clothes because it was using up too much electricity. So it basically, and these aren't like old, 20-year-olds living in the house. So I never really felt welcome completely in my house. I sort of felt like I was, oh, on a, like he was a lord and I was like on his fiefdom. I'm trying to think of how that works out in the medieval, um, the way they had that whole feudal system. I don't know why I'm trying so hard to impress you. It's not that I'm trying hard to impress you. It's that it would be really cool if I could pull off this reference, but flailing around hopelessly trying to grab it is just pathetic. So that's why I don't feel entitled. Is because I grew up like that. It's like I grew up like feeling like, yeah, this dude don't want me here. I'm not sure why he gave birth to me. As a matter of fact, he doesn't seem to be teaching me anything. He doesn't tell me he loves me. He did teach me how to tie my shoes when I was a kid. He taught me how to sharpen a knife. What else did he teach me? He didn't teach me how to box. If you have to struggle to think of the things that your father taught you and you're a man, you're in trouble. Because we're born into this world only knowing that nipples are good. That's all we know. We're not, yeah. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole about our differences between us and animals, but animals get that beautiful pre-programmed set of instructions called instincts that teach them how to survive. We get parents to teach us because we don't know shit. We are helpless, and some of us remain helpless way longer than we should. And if you have to think, shut up, dog. If you have to think of like, what did my father actually teach me? Because my father was a good provider. He kept gave us food, paid for medical care, and put a roof over a kid's head. You always. I never felt like I was in danger of being thrown out. Um, so he was a good provider. He did that, and that's more than a lot of parents do. But as far as like teaching me how to get by, new. And like I said, um, or I've said before, it's like when we went fishing, we didn't ask. We were fishing all the time. Like that was we joke like they had the thing called the entertainment center back then. I don't even know if that's a thing they have nowadays, but you had your entertainment center and be like, "Where's your entertainment center at?" When we go fishing, and by that we mean like the fishing rod and the reel. That was our entertainment. But we were afraid to ask for money to buy hooks. A pack of hooks back then cost about $1. You know, if you want the good ones, you could probably get by with like 40 cents if you want hooks that were shit. Uh, but so we would go fishing with like two hooks, and you had to be like really careful not to get snags or not to cast your fishing line into the trees, or your fishing trip would end early, or you would be like walking around the pond looking for hooks, and that's because I didn't want to ask my dad for money or a ride to the store to buy hooks at that particular time in my life when I was a young kid. Um, when I got older, I remember asking him to take me places. That was another thing. Is like he wasn't going to teach us. He wasn't going to give us any power and teach us how to drive or anything crazy like that, you know. And giving people money, that's giving them power. Money is power. And then like teaching them how to drive is teaching them how to get away from you. And what fun is that? If you have a kid, don't you want to keep them with you all the time and keep them under control and have power over another living being so you can feel better about yourself? Isn't that the purpose of being a parent? So, anyways, not sure what started me down that road, but I don't sit around and like brood about that shit. I just kind of find it like oddly amusing nowadays. Like you'd go fishing and you'd have one hook on your fishing rod and one hook hooked in the handle of the cork of your fishing rod, and that was it. And you better be on point as far as casting. Don't be casting over no logs or anything like that. If you got snags on the bottom, a lot of times you can't help that. But it probably made me a much better caster. As a matter of fact, I do remember pulling a trick off in front of people, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" You know, they didn't understand that I did it on purpose. But we'd fish for carp with Brett all the time, right? And carp have this deal where they hang around in the shallows. Now, what you could do is you could put on a dough ball of bread, which usually sinks, and there would say my arm is a branch. You cast deliberately over top of the branch, but not directly next to the bank, and you drop it in the bucket there, and then you can lift your bait up and get your bait to float on top of the water, and then you can see when the fish bites, and then you can set the hook. But the limb has to not be a strong limb; it has to be a weaker limb, so that when you hook the fish, you know, you don't have it. The limb will just bend down into the water, and the fish will swim away, and then you'll be fighting the fish over somewhere over here. So I did this in front of people before, and they were like, "What the fuck?" They didn't understand what I was doing. They're like, "You cast it in the tree," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did that on purpose." They're just like, "Okay." Then they watched me catch a fish, and I don't think I explained it to them. They were like, probably thought, "Well, that was lucky." I'm like, "Nope, do that all the time, man." But to be able to do that, you have to be able to cast in a real confined area. So it probably helped my fishing out as far as casting. But that was just one of the quirky things. Did I ever tell you about the time that I called my shot when I was fishing? I guess I was pretty good at casting because we're fishing in the parks, and this guy had this really expensive RC motorboat, and he was like way over here, but he was controlling the motorboat to go like in front of us. We were just screwing around the park fishing for carp and catfish, which is because I couldn't drive was about all we could do, and so this guy's got this motorboat and he keeps running in front of us, and I was like, you know what? The next time that guy runs that boat in front of us, I'm gonna catch it. And my foster brother was like, sure you are. So sure enough, the dude runs the motorboat out there. It's a good cast, man. It's, I would say, minimum 50 to 60 feet conservatively. And the thing's moving like this, so you actually have to time it out. So I cast over here and I time it out so that the boat swims directly underneath my bait, and I snagged the guy's boat and I reel it in and give it back to him. He came over. It's like God knows how much, 300, 400, $500 thing. And he come over to us sheepishly, I guess because we looked the way we did, and was like, sorry about that and apologizing to us. And I just snagged his like really expensive electronic boat and reeled it in. Like unhooked his boat and gave it back to him. And that's one of my favorite fishing moments. That's what's good about fishing is it gives you all kind of stories. A lot of them are not related necessarily to fishing. Too, it gives you a lot of stories. It's much better than laying in a room watching movies and staring at holes in the ceiling. It gives you silly things. A lot of them stories like just sound crazy and sound like that's why they have the expression fishing stories. But usually it's I caught a fish this big. It's not like I caught a remote control boat this big. It was a big boat. Um, I was disappointed that the guy didn't fight. Didn't make the boat like swim back toward him and fight. And I didn't get to fight the boat. That would have been funny, but he didn't want me to hurt his boat, and so he just like gave up. He just gave up too soon. He didn't fight against the boat, but yeah, I definitely impressed my foster brother that day because not only did I snag the boat, I said I was going to do it ahead of time. So that's like Larry Bird saying that he's going to make a jumper in your face at the end of the game. It's just much more impressive if you tell people what you're going to do ahead of time and pull it off. And now I have no coffee, and I should shut up. Um, but yeah, I should, like I said, maybe it'll help me snap out of my funk if I talk on here a little more often. I think I went 10 days or something like that without talking instead of going like another 10 days. And usually I can find some nonsense or some ridiculous thing from my past to talk about just to practice the art of communication. I don't even, like I said, I don't even know if I'm any good on the phone anymore as far as talking to people. I don't talk to anybody, so um, I can talk to myself and talk to you. I mean, that'll work. So I don't know how long this was, but um, yeah, I want to go out and pet my cat and see how he is. I assume he's inside because it's snowy and cold out. And I leave the window open like first thing in the morning, and then come back in here and hide. And then he comes in and he goes as far away from the window as possible, and that just happens to be where the register is, where the heat comes out, and gets in this little cubby hole and warms his old aching bones in front of the furnace. Um, Anyways, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.